Hello and welcome to this new episode of Educology. It's about time to create an interactive classroom environment. Interactive learning is a new approach that works intimately with students to make them more involved in the learning process and help them retain more accumulated information. Contrary to popular opinion, it doesn't have to involve technology because at its basis, interactive learning aims at strengthening critical thinking and problem solving. In this episode, I'm glad to discuss with Dr. Laurance Ajaka what interactive learning is and the benefit of such method. And in the course of this episode, we will go over the tools used in such approach. Hello, Dr. Laurance, and welcome.
Hello, dear. Greetings to you and to all our viewers all over the world.
Doctor, let's start by defining what is the interactive learning.
Joyce, as we all know, education has been propelled to change similarly to every other aspect of life. The quality of students has changed, and therefore it's counterproductive to expect them to sit at their desks and take notes. Learning has to be engaging, more engaging, to capture their attention, and hence interactive learning is a realistic approach to education in the new age. It aims at prickling the curiosity of students and adding zest and invigoration to the classroom. Instead of giving lectures, there are discussions where both student and teacher unite in a quest for exploring the world. Holistic approaches will help strengthen critical thinking and problem solving, as you said. Students interact with their teachers and the classmates or colleagues in group discussion and activities. This can be applied in various spots across the curriculum with or without technology.
So the approach is to have discussions between the members of the class and the teacher.
It's a two-way interaction between teacher and student to have discussions, and through those discussions, the student will be more engaged, and we will get the best out of him or her.
Is the technology here a necessity to have interactive learning?
Technology is a tool used in the process of interactive learning. There are numerous programs and applications used for engaging students from elementary to secondary levels. They are in hot demand by the students because they fit into their world, the world of students. Assignments like long mathematics worksheets are alien and tiresome to them. They will not get attracted to such a kind of assignment.
How could we use technology at this stage?
Activities are available online regarding everything from mathematics to social studies. The methods of engagement are numerous. For example, a history activity would invite the student to trace the journey visually. Pictures and interactive diagrams are available as well. There are even programs that encourage students to mix different chemicals and see the result or invent new things.
So instead of studying, you can go for practical things.
Definitely. Language students also benefit a lot because they can now listen to the proper pronunciation, and they can have plenty of grammar and vocabulary exercises. If that is not enough, they can practice popular word games such as Scrabble and Hangman. So let's say as well, tablets are excellent accessories to be had if it is financially available.
So tablets here, what should they do on the tablets?
They make it
Precisely.
easier for students to have all their material in one place. And they can interact.
So instead of their books, they have their tablets.
Yes. and they can interact more easily with any form of technology. It's also a means that most students use in their daily lives, in their real lives. So it comes more natural than pens and papers.
So can we say tablets will make learning more fun?
It's convenient. It's very convenient, but it might not be available for all students due to the relatively high economic costs. That's why ALS tablets are a good tool for interactive learning. So computers and tablets are not the only means of interactive learning.
Alternative way to study an interactive learning without tablets?
Let me tell you something. It's all about the two-way flow of information between teacher and student. Teachers shouldn't just give. They need to ask for the students' input about the topic for a deeper and more meaningful experience. When you get the students engaged and involved, you are pushing them to experience by themselves. There are some techniques as well used to stimulate this flow of information.
What are those techniques that the teacher can use?
We will go over them, but first of all, I would like to draw the attention to the fact that passive listening should forever be banned from schools.
Why they should be banned?
It might be
students might listen to the language, learn it more by listening, or not.
It might be a method to get the information across to large groups of people, but it stifles real communications. Teacher can also play an interactive activity to accompany the lecture. They can lecture for like 10 to 20 minutes. They can brainstorm with the students about the topic before the lecture starts. Question-answer techniques can provoke more involvement than just saying the information. Whatever boosts participation is considered a form of interactive learning. So they can brainstorm, they can use question-answer techniques to provoke the more involvement than just saying the information or lecturing them. And any kind of these methods will help boost the participation, and by then this is a form of interactive learning.
So here the students, they're not passive listener to the teacher.
Not really, they are
should
engaged.
be participating during the lesson.
As I've already said, the quality of students has changed. We can't treat them in the same way as the last century. The last generation used to listen and memorize, but such techniques are of no use nowadays. We have to follow interactive learning, because this will lead students to the proper way of learning in the new generation.
Can the teacher benefit from the students? Maybe they know more, they are more involved in technology. The teacher may benefit from these students, as we said in the last episodes, that they are the alpha generation or the centennial generation. They are different from each other.
I don't think any teacher can allow himself or herself to get into a class without being aware of everything related to technology. Technology is a vital part in our lives nowadays, and we can't refrain from using it.
But sometimes the teacher realizes that the students know more about something. Can he benefit from this and learn from his students?
Of course, as I've already said, it's a two-way interaction between teacher and student.
So it's not bad that the teacher said there's something he doesn't know. He can learn from his student new ways in technology. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he can benefit from a way of work, they like to work with it.
It's not like that. The responsibility of the teacher in class is to get the best out of the students in a very positive way. But we have to use their tools, not our tools. Teachers should let students feel they have a saying in what is being done in class. They can offer opinions about which topic should be discussed. Solving the problems can be done in pairs or in groups. The interaction between students is just as important as that between them and the teacher. They are exchanging ideas and information. Of course, both of them will benefit from the information or from the flow of information given during a certain class. They can even review homework together and critique each other's work. They should be invited to voice their opinions on how the teacher conducts the lessons. These methods are an asset to teachers as well because they can monitor the progress of the students so that they can change the tactics used to better suit the dynamics of the class.
So how we can encourage students to participate in the lesson?
Students will only participate if they are emotionally and physically secured. They won't dare to voice their opinions if they feel that they have to say what they have to say doesn't have any weight or they might be ridiculed. Teachers need to be sensitive to the students' feelings and encourage them to be welcoming of everything and approachable. There should be frequent conversations that form a real bond between the two. Clear and concise instructions and goals need to be established in the classroom. And teachers should be flexible at all times and change their teaching techniques to accommodate the students' needs instead of expecting students to conform to their lesson plans. The relationship should go beyond the lessons and into the cultures, hobbies, and interests of students.
So the teacher can't remain on the lesson plan he did. He must work with the students on what they need.
In our times, the good person is the person who can suit his circumstances to the situation he is in. We should plan, but sometimes we have to be flexible to change according to the circumstances we have in class. And as I've already said, I can't come into the class, give a lesson, lecture the students, and leave. It's not a teaching process. Interactive learning is the best way to let the students get engaged in the learning process. Like that, I'm pushing them to voice their opinions, to discover what they have in their minds, and I let them experience the lesson without letting them sit for hours just listening to information that they can have access to by clicking a button.
As a doctor at the university, doctor, how can you treat with a weak students maybe and a more active ones?
Nobody is weak. We have different intelligences. We have different types of intelligence. We have to be aware of that. You're strong at languages, but you're not strong at mathematics. We have to define the type of intelligence to every student, and we have to start working from them. Those who don't have the skills needed for a certain task, we have to help them by practice, by repetition, by helping them have discussions with their peers. Like that, they will be capable of being on track and understand or have an adequate way of information as regards the topic that they are having.
So all the students can pass the class with the way you work with them in an interactive classroom.
When you go for interactive learning, students can assess themselves. They don't need anybody to evaluate or assess their work. There they can discover what they don't have. They can take it from their peers, and what they have they can share it with their peers. Like that, we're exchanging information and ideas, and we're trying to make all together the big picture.
So what are what do you give the teachers as a conclusion for the teachers
Every teacher,
for an interactive classroom?
To the teachers, I say, every teacher should make it their goal to include every feasible aspect of interactive learning into their lesson to empower their students. This helps the students in and outside of the classroom, as they will have more confidence and a better set of skills. If I work on their skills, I will send them to life and they are strong enough to face the challenges ahead.
So here we invite all the teachers to work more on interactive classroom with their students.
Exactly, and give weight to every single thing given by the students to make them emotionally secure. And when we are emotionally secured, we can give with confidence, and we don't have our fears.
Before we continue, Dr. Laurance, we will stop for a short break and we will be right back. Hello and welcome again to Educology. Before the break, we discussed with Dr. Laurance about the interactive learning process and the tools we can use to make it more feasible in the education. And in this section, I'm glad to host Pamela Sukkar, a nutritionist, to talk more about her experience in the learning process. Hello, Pamela, and welcome.
Hello.
Pamela, let's start by talking about your experience in the learning process through the interactive learning.
As a nutritionist, my classes were based on interaction, because our strength is to work on the psychologist part of the patients and help them, motivate them, and encourage them to overcome their critical situations and achieve their goals. So learning for me was practical, and the concepts I learned were applied. As Dr. Laurance said, I could grasp the course by the material giving. We had two ways of interaction between the teachers and the students, so that we were engaged in the learning process to the extent that we felt that we could discover everything by ourselves, and we went out of the old learning and teaching methods that the students were putting more efforts to learn and memorize the content of the course. I can add that the interactive classes also help the students, especially in the nutritional field, to improve their analytical thinking, especially because this field is based yes, on different cases, and people's lives are on stage. It is essential to learn from the experience and the knowledge given from the doctors. As a nutritionist also, this interaction and type of connection is essential to ensure a decent nutritional and patient relationship. Interacting the same way with the patients helps in the process of building a trust toward the nutritionist, which can lead to the better results.
So your learning helped you and prepared you for your career, for your life. You had the necessary skills to proceed in life and to face the challenges.
Yes.
Have you ever had a class where the class was a lecture style?
It was more in the school level.
How was it?
And I prefer the classes based on interaction because it's like more interesting and
Joyce, you're aware of the fact that under the age of 20, the span attention is at maximum 10 minutes, and for adults, it's 20 minutes.
So it's a necessity to have an interactive learning process during the school years.
And one way a flow of information will get the brain go into a hypnotic trance. This is something that we have to be aware of.
Of course. I learned before the episode that you were a student of Dr. Laurance.
Yes.
How could you describe this experience, if we can say?
Yes, our class with Dr. Laurance was totally interactive and productive. We were the center of the attention. We had the tasks. She used to distribute the tasks and monitor the class and to get the best out of us.
So she wasn't only a teacher for you, she was more interacting with you.
Yes,
as
even in the end of the session, she used to prepare us some topics and subjects, and we used to discuss them, and they were very interesting.
Gone are the days of one-man show. Teachers used to be one-man show. They used to lecture and students had to listen and sit for hours. It's disastrous. It can't be done nowadays. Our responsibility is to open the way for our students to express themselves freely, to voice what they have in their minds. Maybe they have a lot of important things. Those things can help them have a better future, and schools and universities are meant to prepare those people for the life challenges.
How she was strengthening your self-esteem in her classes?
I mean, whenever I used to be in class with you, have I ever let you feel that you're annoyed, or you want you're scared of exams, or you want to leave the class earlier, or you were bored, you were busy with your mobile?
Because the class, it was not only based on learning and getting the course or the explanation from the doctor. We used to have exercises and we worked on them by two persons. Yeah, we used to work together and
group work.
As a group work. Yes.
Actually, I had Pamela during your master's program, right? And at that level, students have to work by themselves to get everything. And you know, this is the last stage where they have to be fully ready for life. So it's not an easy task. We have to open the way for them to proceed. We are in control, we have the remote control, but we have to know how to operate the proper buttons to let them achieve the goal required for such teaching or learning.
Was there any written tests, exams she did for you during her classes?
I am somebody who doesn't believe in assignments. I have never given assignments. The assignments were done in class. I used to monitor them.
So there is no homework at all?
No homework. I don't believe in this. The time is in class enough for them to do the task needed. They have to pay attention. I tell them from the beginning, it's my time. You have to dedicate all the time for me. And I promise not to give you any assignment of any kind.
Yes, the work we used to make in the class was enough and helps us to get ready for our tests.
You didn't have to study at home. It's
No.
only the work you do in
At
the
class.
classroom.
Yes.
I have never entered into a class and I felt the time. I used to stay for hours. Even my students used to leave the class against their will. They didn't want to leave. They wanted just to learn more and more because it was interactive learning.
Yes.
I opened the way for them to voice their opinions. When you do so, you're giving weight to what they deliver, to what they have. So you're treating them in the same way as you. What do they want more than that? So they feel physically and securely, physically and emotionally secured. When they sit, I don't oblige them to sit in a way that are required. If you're not at ease, you can't do things as
So they don't feel
supposed.
they are in a classroom.
I've always told them that we're friends here. We're exchanging ideas, information, and we have a goal to achieve. We have to work all together, not individually, in pairs or in groups, to achieve such a goal.
So how can you describe your experience after what all Dr. Laurance was doing? Did you feel the same at another maybe course? Or
Yeah,
not?
that's what I wanted to ask. Was it the same case at other classes? Were you capable of voicing your opinion, of talking about the things that you want to say? Did you get the result expected? Did they meet your standard of learning?
Maybe in our other classes, we had to put some extra efforts at home to memorize things because we didn't practice the exercises in the class. With Dr. Laurance, we had everything
The
learned.
things you had in the class
Fully
is-
planned
was
according
enough
to the
for
Was
you.
enough.
You don't have to study at home.
Yes.
You mean at other classes the content was more than the time allotted for such a task?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So the flow of information was overwhelming to the extent you had to get assignments and to go home and study the rest of the allotted task, right?
Right.
It's too saddening. That's what I meant. Instructors or teachers should be aware of their role in such time. They have to follow interactive learning. The tools are available and they can use them to help the students pass the time. They don't have to feel the time. They have to work hard. And if you assign tasks to the students, they don't have the time to speak, and every single minute will be spent in a very beneficial way, especially that they are peers and they are sitting together. They are divided into groups, in pairs, and they are working together. You know, working together will help you just have better collaboration, better communication. You're discovering your inside because you're comparing it to other people, and at the same time, if you have something new, you're passing it to the other party.
Yes, so we can share our opinions and our ideas, our experiences between us.
Let's share more, Pamela, about your experience during the e-learning, during the COVID-19 confinement. How can you describe it?
Even through the COVID-19 pandemic, our classes were also interactive. We had workshops to do and
the projects to deliver.
projects, yes.
I think your class with me was
Also
a totally online class. It was during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
So you had an e-learning online classes. How can you describe it? Is it fruitful as to have it in the classroom?
The e-learning platform that we get, the slides we get on this platform are really they are really different
You mean here you prefer to be present or online or distance learning can do well for you? What do you prefer?
I prefer the presence of
Physical classes, face-to-face classes.
Presence. Yes.
But was it a good experience to have distance learning?
It was also productive because they were also based on interaction.
So things you used to be encouraged when having such a classes, or not really?
Not really.
It was a struggle.
It was a little bit harder than our
face-to-face communication. Yes. So things weren't running smoothly, but they were productive.
They were productive.
You mean you put an effort at
Yes.
home in order to keep going?
They need more efforts online more effort to do to understand what
as
they want.
you know, the situation forced all the schools and universities to go to online teaching, and they need time to get used to such a new technique.
Do you prefer the online courses, Dr. Laurance?
Actually, it was a very successful experience.
Maybe
I think
for
it
you,
was
but
a
not for the
successful one
students,
with
I
me,
think.
right?
Yes, of course.
Because I used to give them a lot of stuff. They used to speak most of the time. I used to give them a certain topic and they used to ask each other questions and work. Their presence was of a great importance to me. So I had to call every single person by their names and ask them to speak. They used to speak a lot. I myself was impressed by the information they have. They don't just have the information. They were good at. I loved their curiosity of learning everything new. They were capable of leading a conversation without having any problem because they have a very rigid background when it comes to education.
Was it for you the same as being in the classroom?
Yes, but I prefer online teaching now because it will help the students to be more at ease, physically speaking, and it's better. We are in an era where we have to cope with such classes. We can't go back with time.
But
gone are those physical.
As e-learning, Dr. Laurance, can you find the weakness of each student like you are in the classroom?
Of course you can do so, as long as you are opening the way for every student to talk, to discuss some topics. You are aware of the weaknesses and the strengths of such a student. My aim is to have positivity. When I spread positivity everywhere, students will be encouraged and they will have the courage to speak, to learn, to discuss, to debate, and at the same time to have their own input.
But they have all the same time to express themselves online?
It depends. Some students, they are not good at conversing. They need time, they are timid. It's not a problem. I can push them, but by having some fun with them, by breaking the ice, by telling them jokes or moving on to other topics to distract their fears. Like that, they are on the safe side. You see, Pamela,
Yes.
when she showed up to the studio, she was a bit tense, but now you see she's at ease, right?
Right.
She needs a little bit time.
Yes, as long as there is a good relation between the student and the doctor, يعني we could have a better discussion. We feel more comfortable if we have any lack in some places, so we can ask them.
Did you have the same feeling in all the courses as the course of Dr. Laurance?
Honestly, no. It depends on the doctor, on how she interacts with us.
You mean the delivery method?
Also the delivery method, yes.
Mm-hmm. You made my day, thank you. Joyce we have to acquire what we call interactive learning. Like this, we are helping the students to discover themselves, to experience everything. They can't learn anymore from our experiences. We can't tell them stories, and they have to avoid the problems. They are meant to discover, to suffer, and to get everything on their way in order to reach their goals. We can't say that we don't want them to suffer and they can learn from our experiences. They don't need all of this. Goodbye lecture style classes. We don't need them anymore. And as I said, all the instructors should get used to online teaching, because who knows, maybe we're gonna have it in the long run, especially that we learned that COVID-19 will be back soon, and it is still active in our country.
So, Doctor, due to our educational system, maybe it's hard to apply interactive classroom environment.
Fortunately, not. We used to say that in our government they have to change the curricula. But with COVID-19, they can't go back to books. They are obliged to use interactive learning, especially that the economic situation does not allow the students to buy the books and stuff. So they have to seek programs and applications from the internet to help the students in their learning process, as if COVID-19 pandemic was the bliss at a certain point to help it change the curricula in our country.
So we hope that next year the interactive classes will be more active in our schools.
I think they don't have a lot of choices. They don't have a lot of choices. They have to cope with the new techniques and with interactive learning, which is, as I said, a realistic approach needed in education in this generation.
Pamela, any last word you want to add?
Yes, the students should always put efforts and do some research, read articles. It's very important to always be
interact more, maybe with
exactly.
their teachers and peers.
So you mean you put the effort
to learn more? It's always important to learn more and to read, to look for new things, especially in the nutrition field. Nutrition is a new science. And
you're so lucky to belong to the centennial generation, especially that technology is accessible.
Yes.
And you're capable of updating your information whenever you want.
Yes.
Pamela, thank you for sharing with us your experience. Dr. Laurance, thank you for being here. We'll see you in
I would
next
like to thank you as well,
week.
and thank you, Pamela.
Thank you. For here, our episode is done. Stay safe, keep smiling, and see you next week.